Thanks again for rejoining us on the program this morning on ITV, just to get perspectives on the just concluded State House of Assembly polls. I mean, some views there from those who won and from those who also voted. As you know, in every contest, there will always be a winner and a loser. If you're a loser or you lost, as the case may be, accept the victory or accept the result in good faith. But if you're displeased with the process of the results coming forth, the court is there. Take your case to the court and contest it. That's your inalienable right. But on the other hand, if you won, and you've got to be magnanimous in victory, reach out to those who contested with you and see how you can bring them in and forge a common front for the development of the constituency that you intend representing. Well, I have with me in the studio Harrison Ezeko. Harrison Ezeko is a member of the legislative arm, Oredo Legislative Assembly. Many thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much.
We also have with us in the studio Fares Okbari. Fares is a member of the People's Democratic Party, a regular on our show, giving in-depth analysis the issues as they emerge on the 2019 elections. Fares, many thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Professor Anthony Ijewere will be joining us shortly. We're also expecting Victoria Amu to also join this conversation. That will be on the other side. But gentlemen, thank you again for coming on the program. The state governorship and House of Assembly election has been marred by voter apathy and violence. Was this anticipated? Let me start with you, Fares.
Well, you have just said it. The elections, there was so much irregularities. The elections were characterized by voter inducements and violence in many areas, and generally voter apathy, because a lot of people decided to stay away from the process, as a way of protesting the outcome of the presidential elections ahead in February 23rd. People are not happy with the process because they feel that the mandates and their votes do not count, So they decided to completely shun these elections. In areas where we recorded about maybe 300 to 400 voters in some units, in Oredo, for example, in the last elections, the votes were down to about 30, shared between two parties. So it tells you that almost 90% of the people in those units decided to stay away from the elections. And then even with the voter apathy, the APC in Edo State, went on a campaign of brutalizing people in the units. There was so much violence in Pobauka and Oredo. The agents of other parties were chased away, were beaten. Some of them were shocked with these electric guns and all that. And and then in Edo Central, the same thing happened everywhere. It's either people are voting and showing the APC agents on the units what they are voting for and collecting money in the full glare of the police and the security people, and nobody was doing anything or saying anything about it. Just yesterday, I saw on the EFCC website that they showed a drone that they said they deployed in Edo to monitor vote buying in the elections, but they didn't tell us where those drones were deployed and what were the outcome of the videos that were recorded by that drones to show where votes were bought. Because in where I voted, in Eastern Northeast, it was just a trade by barter. It was a shame that we've degenerated to this level where, people will just take advantage of the poverty and the hunger in the land to further emasculate the people and make them feel that they are hopeless. Because, in a situation where people just come to the field and you have agents on ground who are just telling everybody, vote for this party and you get 5,000. And people are doing it, and security officials are there, and they are doing nothing about it. It shows that our system is completely gone, And to crown it up, I'm really disappointed in INEC because we've spent the highest budgets in the history of Nigeria elections to conduct the worst election in the history of Nigeria. And this election is not the right home about. This election is a complete charade and a sham in terms of electioneering and elections in Nigeria. It's the worst elections that we've ever had.
So you're saying this because maybe your party lost, using Edo State as a case study?
No, I'm not saying that because my party lost. I'm saying what happened. What transpired. Was the elections in Edo State free and fair? No, the elections were not free and fair. You also said just now that the elections were characterized by violence, and that does not make election free and fair. Any election that is characterized by violence does not stand the test of time. So when you say elections were characterized by violence, then it doesn't make it a free and fair elections.
Okay. All right, Harrison, what are your perspectives on the outcome of the State House of Assembly election and governorship election? Well, we'll look at the governorship election on the other side, but let's begin with the State House of Assembly election using Edo State as a starting point.
Well, thank you very much. Thank God we have localized our discussion this morning on what transpired in Edo State on Saturday. Let me make this very clear without missing words this morning that this is the most peaceful election in the state. My brother, I want to remind you, you see, we cannot have it all the time. When we won 3 weeks ago in the senatorial election, everywhere was where the election was peaceful. Nothing happened. The money that was distributed by your party in where you voted the other time for the senatorial election, are you telling me that they didn't distribute money there? We should learn to tell ourselves the truth. What happened is that your candidate should be holding their party responsible. After they have helped them to win their own election, they decide to stay at home to allow those people to go and suffer in the field. Let me use my unit as a case study. The result I got is not even what I got in the last election. I got 146 votes. In my unit, unit 20, 2. In the last election, I got 148. PDP that got 210 in that same unit got 56. For the fact that your party did not represent it, does that mean that your people should stay at home? That is to tell you that those are the people they have on ground there. The people that gave their vote in the last election was a protest vote against President Muhammadu Buhari on the ground that yes, this back of this, and the church who came out and master vote. In trying to vote at Buhari, the vote went one way. And they didn't know that Buhari was just a single entity. You have House of Rep, you have seen it. And in the Kobaka, in the Red and in the Go, the team play out. And they have fed most of our candidates. They have their way. They didn't see that the election was not free and fair. They didn't know that money was distributed on that election. It is because now that after the election, eventually at the end of the day, those who want the population in this country, the Northerners who understand the political arithmetic, who understand what it takes to vote. A man who cannot write his name, they understand what it takes to go and cast his vote. And the vote came. The president were re-elected. And then that went away. The election in the whole of what too, there was no place that somebody was even touched like this. I am surprised to talk about violence. The only place we have issue in Ward 9, where Agbonipo voted. He was angry because the election was not going in his way. He won his unit. I'm saying categorically, I'm not a conventional politician that made issues. But at the end of the day, the unit that he won counted. Because that was his word, he felt that they were supposed to vote for him, but it doesn't work that way. So I'm surprised that my brother is saying that the election was violent at where? Where are your facts? Where did it happen? We have 24 over 24. Because the Asian people this time are not trying to play the political arithmetic. They are not seeing it that after these 4 years, where will power go to? Then what will not be our justification to say that we must produce the next governor? Politics is beyond what you are saying. People are reading it. And they decided on their own to say, okay, let us, having given it to our brother at the Senate, let us now put our step very well. So that when we are demanding, it becomes very clear. At the national level, now the Igbo are telling us today that they want Senate president before where? You cannot eat your cake and have it. You didn't vote for the party. Now you are demanding because the game has turned around. So my brother, what happened was that it was a reflection of the people. The APC turned out to come and vote. The PDP decided to go and stay at home. Or those who were there to win the election decided not to come out. And you cannot blame INEC for that. INEC will not go and carry people from their houses to come and vote. It is the people who came out and they are giving us the money. And with the 24 members we are having there, with the likes of Mr. who is already spoken, we are going to be having a robust house. They are going to Washington Osifu, the Crystal Cabin. It's not going to be business as usual, I'm assuring you. Because now you are aware that they don't have financial autonomy.
Okay.
That the state cannot just sit over and tell them what to do. They have financial autonomy, they will decide what they will do. Okay. With the number of persons there, people like Okiye, who is so experienced, I'm assuring you that things will take a new step. Okay. And they will work with the state government to bring development.
That's looking at the future of
the
house.
Yes,
that's looking at the future of the house. Let's focus our attention on the conduct of the election. There were reported cases of violence. There were reported cases of snatching of ballot boxes. There were reported cases of inducement of the electorate with money on both sides. This has become paramount with our political process. But for us, the major issue here is that there was an unusual apathy from the electorate towards this election. He said something just now that it was the protest vote that led to the result that we saw at the National Assembly election. About that these guys haven't voted in that direction, probably felt dissatisfied with the outcome and decided to sit back at home, because many of our reporters cover this election. The report is the same. Where you saw maybe 1,000 people, on the election day on Saturday, you find about 10 people or 5 people. I don't know what you make of this. Was it that the party didn't do enough to mobilize for a resounding participation? People have also said that some party agents compromised in this election. I don't know what your thoughts are.
Well, he has said it all before when he said that in his units that he scored 140 or thereabouts
46
in the presidential elections, and then he had the same figures, or plus or minus the same figures in the last elections. Okay. And when he said the PDP scored over 200 in the presidential elections, and then they went down to 56. And when we talked about voter apathy, what was the argument? If you said in a particular unit where you voted that the votes from the PDP and the APC put together was about close to plus or minus about 400, I'm not even adding other parties to it, and now the same vote is down to 200. Because you said the PDP scored 50 something and your party scored 140 something, so which means we had 50%, 50% reduction in votes in that particular unit. So what are we talking about when we say voter apathy? In other areas it was even worse. I'm telling you, in other areas it was even worse. And what's the most annoying thing is that even in those areas, let me take for example where I voted in Uromi. The APC went from house to house, giving people money, and even in the field, giving people money, 5,000 per vote. You vote and they don't even give you and say, okay, you vote, and they give you money and say, okay, go and vote. You vote and you take it and you show it to an agent, and then you are giving the money in the full glare of the police and every other person. I mean, that's the worst kind of elections that we've seen. And when he talks about, that this new crop of elected legislators, they will be the best and all that, how can you even tell? Many of them are the same legislators who voted against their own independence.
There are not many.
Many of them are the same. They voted against their autonomy. No, excuse me, I have the floor.
Harrison, just calm down.
They voted. Many of them. How many of them are coming back afresh? Many of them from the same last assembly voted against their own financial autonomy. They voted against their own independent autonomy. And that's tell you the crop of people who made that last assembly, and many of them who are still returning. So when you say, we are going to have a robust, what kind of robust assembly would you have when you most certainly going to have a rubber stamp House of Assembly where the governor is going to call the shots from Osadebe Avenue? There's nothing will change.
So you don't expect anything
nothing, Sonny, nothing,
from the State House of Assembly?
Sonny, nothing would change. These are same people who, again, even if the Senate brings the amendments for the Constitution to give autonomy to national assemblies, they will still do the same. They will still vote because they are the control in the State House of Assembly is being controlled. There's a remote in Osadebe Avenue that is controlling Toninaro House. And that is what it is, whether you like it or not. Because right now, you know, most of the people who are there right now got funds. They got funds from the government to run in these elections. In the day before elections, huge amount of money was disbursed to them at the different local government areas. These monies were used to pay voters, to induce voters, to buy votes.
How do you substantiate this?
I know it because I was in the field. I was in the field.
So when you saw the money, you knew the source of the money.
We know that well, we have insiders also. We know that huge amount of money were released, particularly from Sky Bank and Sterling Bank, that was disbursed through the state government 4 a.m. in the morning, that was moved to all the local governments for the purpose of buying votes. And even where they saw that they were buying votes and the results were still not coming in, they deployed another strategy, which was to employ violence on the people. Both the voters, those who were voting PDP in Owa, they were beaten. Those who were voting PDP in Auchi, they were beaten. Those who were voting PDP in Baka, they were beaten. Agents were chased away from the fields. What kind of election is that?
Okay, let me pause you there. If you just join us, it's the TMI Monday 2019 election, looking at results, analysis, and implication. I've got Victoria Amu joining us. Victoria Amu is a public affairs commentator and occupational therapist. Many thanks for joining us on the program.
Thank you for having me. Good morning, viewers.
Okay, so what are your thoughts and your perspectives on the outcome of the State House of Assembly election and governorship election? But we're looking at the State Houses of Assembly election starting from Edo State, 24/24 for the ruling party in the state. Is this a plus?
It was the people's opinion. It wasn't, I didn't think it was all about party. I think it was all about people who understood the people who were going to represent them. There are very strong minds in those House of Assembly that even if you give them the money to pay, they still can tell you that this is where we're going and this is what I think it should be. Okay. There are very strong minds there. It's okay, it's politics. Isn't that what you men say it? It's not a women's game, it's a boys' game. You know, it's politics. You play it the way it's played. Whoever has the carrot stick, you dangle it as much as you can and get what you want to get out of it. Yeah. But I can tell you that it was individual based. They were very strong, people-oriented persons that are going into the assembly now, that I know, you know, who are my friends. And I'm happy for them because they have been in this struggle for over a time. And some of them denied, some of them abused, but they got a headway this time around, which is nice, you know. Okay. So for me, I see that they are going there, they are given the opportunity to go there and demonstrate their ability. Okay. They are going there to demonstrate what they can do for their community. So very few of them are very strong-willed and very in tune to this thing. The fact that people are being paid, it is not something new. Do you understand me? Might not be new, but it's condemnable. Unless you have your proof. Unless you have the policeman who can stand and justify that, yes, I arrested this man with Ghana must go back, he was actually given. But when you don't have such evidences, it's just speculations. And speculations are not admissible.
Are we not saying that, yes, that's not happening, or it didn't happen? Because we can't get proof? Is that what we're saying?
It happens everywhere in the whole world. Okay. It happens everywhere. It's just the crude nature of how it happens in Nigeria. That's why people can talk about it. It happens. We had the U.S. Governorship election. You had the Atlanta governor who actually shut out the Democrats from the election. He was the secretary to government or something. He was holding a viable position, and he used this position to bring himself in as governor. You know, so you find those things everywhere.
when we cite examples like this, doesn't it imply that this is something we are accepting as the right way or the norm that should be adopted by all?
Don't forget, we have accepted that women shouldn't be in the House of Assembly. So is that a norm?
No, let's leave that.
Is that a norm?
We'll bring that up later, Victoria.
Is that a norm?
We'll bring that up
because
later. I need to respond to the question that I asked.
No,
I will talk about that.
No. There are so many norms.
Yes, we will talk about that. But I need you to respond to the question.
That are not justifiable.
I need to respond to the question that I just asked.
I will respond to it when I'm talking about women not in the House of.
No, we'll talk about that. Because that's an integral part of this conversation. I don't want it to be lost on this one that we're talking about now. So does that make it right? Because the way you presented it, it looks like this is okay, fine. If it's happening in the US, it's always been part of our political history. It's just okay. Does that make it right? That's the question.
It's a boys' game. It's all boys that you have there. It's all men that you have there.
So you're blaming the men for this?
And that's how they know how to play their game. So it's a boys' game.
Okay. Let me come to you, Fares Okbere, and talk about the implication of having this structure now at the State House of Assembly. Just a few years back, we probably could talk about maybe 6 members that are from the opposition, all right? But today, the next assembly, I don't know, maybe the 9th assembly now in the State House of Assembly or so, the story is going to be different. What does this mean for governance in Edo State?
And that's what I said before. I said clearly, and I'm not missing words, that this present elected House of Assembly is going to be the worst, because first of all, you would have opposing voices, and secondly, it's going to be a House of Assembly that will be largely controlled from Osadebe Avenue, because many of the members who have been elected have just been elected to do one thing, to be a rubber stamp assembly for the governor, and that is what it's going to be. Because if you look at the same people, many of them, the man from Orion, the 2 of them from Orion, they were there before. They were part of those who voted against their own autonomy. So the ones that just come in are just few, they're not so much. So you still have a crop of members who were there before, who have done nothing but just sit down and collect money at the end of the month and vote against their autonomy. Nothing. They do practically nothing, apart from take instructions from Osadebe Avenue and just rubber stamp it. They will not screen budgets. They will not look at it critically. They will just do everything that the government wants them to do is what they will do. So that kind of assembly is not robust. We talk about the 8th Senate. We say, the 8th Senate was we make example with the 8th Senate. They say, why was the 8th Senate so good? Why was the 8th Senate having the highest amount of bills passed in the history of Nigerian Senate? It's because there were so many opposing views. Because there were so many opposing views. And when you have opposing views, that's the beauty of democracy. That's why you always have opposition. It's the beauty of this, what makes democracy strong. And then my sister talked about that in America, vote buying happens everywhere. I mean, I thought, I've traveled so many countries. I've never seen where the electoral laws of a land is so flagrantly abused the way we saw it in the last elections here. And even if you go beyond Edo, you look at what is happening in Rivers, it makes everybody ashamed, even as members of APC, except those who don't want to be ashamed.
Who is responsible?
You see the military, the role the military is playing in elections, in elections who are supposed to be civil process. You see the role the military is playing. You should be ashamed. Even Nigeria should be ashamed of what is going on in Rivers State. But you see people who come to justify these things, they'll tell you, it has happened before, and all that. And these are people who are not ready to change, and they keep preaching change. And that's the problem. That's why the things never change, because people still go back and rationalize these things on the basis, it happened before, this time happened before, and then they keep telling you, we should change. Why are you preaching change if you always want to do things in the old ways? Why does a governor, an ex-governor, go out with military, hijack materials? And these are military officers. You go to America, have you seen the American military participating in elections? Have you seen the British armed forces participating in elections? Have you seen the Italian armed forces participating in elections? What do you see this kind of thing? And we rationalize it, we justify it. We are happy because it's favoring one political party or the other. Look at elections in everywhere. In more than 5 states, elections have been declared inconclusive. What is this kind of election? And this is an election where we spend over 200-something billion naira. That's the biggest budget. That's the biggest budget for an election in Nigeria. And we use this kind of budget to go to an election where in elections were called on Saturday. Right now, in 5 states, elections have been declared inconclusive. Why were these elections declared inconclusive? They said that the votes cancelled are more than the winning margin in those areas. And if you look at the way they were systematically cancelled, you see that there are areas where the PDP are currently winning. Adamawa, where the PDP is leading, Plateau. Areas where the PDP are winning, then you are postponing the elections to have by-elections again. This is just, I mean, I don't know how to describe this current INEC, because this is really is something that we should be ashamed of.
Let's proceed there, Professor Query. The news is everywhere that about 5 states, the election, they've been declared inconclusive by INEC. We'll bring you up to speed with all of that. We also want Professor Anthony Ijewere to join this conversation, and so we'll take a short break. When we return, we'll upscale our discussion to look at what transpired at the national level in terms of the result analysis and outcomes and implications of the state governorship and State House of Assembly polls held yesterday. Join us again on the program TMI Monday with yours sincerely.
TMI, every opinion counts.
Thanks again for rejoining us on the program this morning on ITV. We've got Professor Anthony Ijewere joining us. He's a professor of business administration and also a very sound analyst when it comes to politics and development. Prof, many thanks for joining us on the program.
It's a pleasure to be here. Sorry for...
No, it's okay. It's okay. I mean, you've been with us all through Saturday, Sunday, now you're here again on Monday, just to climax our discussion on the election. Well, Harrison, let me come to you. A couple of issues raised, and I said when we return after the break, we're going to be looking at upscaling the issues, particularly the conduct of the election. 5 states declared inconclusive by INEC. We have Plateau State and a host of other states. And then sadly, in terms of violence, a 7 legislator was actually killed in Oyo State. That election result is yet to be formally declared by INEC. We hear collation of result is ongoing. But let's look at the issues that have been at the national level. Rivers State has been alleged to have been seriously and heavily militarized. As we speak, there is a pause. INEC said yesterday they are going on a fact-finding mission to that state to authenticate complaints or allegations of complicity of security agents, particularly the army, in that election. That result is supposed to, the fact-finding mission is supposed to be out within 48 hours. What do you make of all of this?
Well, it's quite unfortunate that things are happening like this. You know, when people take political office to become a do-or-die affair, and they must get there at all costs. And when you look at the follow-up, the build-up to the election, the threats, the issue of if they do this, we'll do that, we'll hold the state, heaven will fall, people will die.
Yeah.
It becomes an issue. I am taking Rivers State as a case study.
Okay.
You know, Yese Wike is a man that will tell you whether heaven will fall anyway, we'll do it. You also win presidential election where MTA Life had to bring in where the people that was rescued from government house with ballot papers and everything. From there, they have to arrest them. They have to flush and the whole world can see.
Yeah.
Because most time, people feel that no is the other way around. It is the sitting government, we understand. The two main actors there are Yese Wike and Amechi. A situation where you have your own military officers. You also are aware that more than 11 persons were arrested with military uniform, which have been recruited by the state government in this same issue. So you don't expect that a reversal power will not go there. You see, the election in Rivers State is not new. Every election here is war. Because we have this issue of the militants and all that, and we have the violence there is really, really high. And you don't expect the other party, even as we speak, the APC did not present a candidate there, but they are working with another political party. And in front of the people, it's like they're trying to push to the other side. And the mob center is seeing it that if you don't do it, everyone will fall. People will die. We are aware that some people were beheaded in that same state, which is unfortunate. People want to kill because they want to get into power. What exactly are we looking for? The other areas, you don't blame INEC for issues like this because it's part of the Electoral Act. Where there are violence and they cannot guarantee the law, their materials and those who are conducting the election, they have to put a stop to the election. So we should talk to the actors. You must see it as, it's a game, as I told somebody. He said, this man push us, I said, it's a game. And it might not go the way you want it at this particular time. If you go the other way around, you must be able to say, okay, let me give it a chance and I will try again. Because me, I'm not happy that people are being killed because you want to get into office. It is condemnable in all ramification. And it's a sin before God. They are not the owners of those lives because they want to get into political office. So for me, what is happening there? They need more explanation. The government must play its role. Yes, you are coming back, but not at the detriment of the life of other persons. And those who are also on the other side must also understand after the election, the state will continue. Life must continue. If we kill everybody before the election, who are we going to govern? Okay. So for me, it is condemnable. If the Lord should take it, those people, if they can locate, they should arrest them. As I remember that was shot is quite sad. Yeah. I read history of the same person, and I know that it was also from the other side. I don't know how true that is information, but the analysis from stage to stage before I got to this position, it has been a talk. You see, according to one of those who wrote comment that nemesis will always catch up with people who have done this in the past. But we must try to double this issue when it comes to electoral election process. Okay. We cannot just do things and we think that we'll just get away with it and nothing will happen. Something will happen. Very soon, this country, things will change. I'm telling you, we are gradually going there. Because before today, the new version of that, you bring up issue of money. And as I speak with you, they're gradually going to the extreme. In the next election, the issue of vote buying might even be history. Because these same people were even doing it. You have to hide to do it. But in the previous election before this, it was an open thing. You pay, we'll do it. We know those who invented it. But now it's working against them, they are crying. It is always like that. Before next time, now they will come up with a new one. So what we are saying, what I'm trying to say in summary is that we must learn to do what is right.
All right, let me
we cannot take life because we need power.
Now, Victoria, let me bring you in. Besides the story from Oyo State, there was also another very gory and terrible story in Enugu State where the APC governorship candidate actually boycotted that election, Senator Yogu Eze. In fact, an House of Assembly candidate's brother was shot in his compound, and he said it was one of his supporters. Who shot him? I mean, we don't know. But that happened. I saw that video online yesterday. It was such a gory sight. Just look at the sheer number of people that have lost their lives in this election out of desperation. The report has it that in the case of the Enugu State young man that lost his life, the young man escorted his brother to go and ask for campaign fund money allocation. And then there was an argument, and in the process, he got shot. I don't know what you make of these, Victoria.
I'm going to revert back to persons conducting elections or in charge of elections. Okay. Be it the highest ruling officer in the state, seeing that as a norm. Because you hear skirmish of such stories in the south, you hear it in the north, you hear it in the northwest, you hear it in the east, and they're real. And you hear that despite the fact that people have been asked and told not to make sure they do not lose their lives in this election, that the election is not worth it. It's not worth you losing your life for somebody else's ambition. Yet people will go headlong. It's not the best thing to do, but it's becoming the norm. The gentleman next to me was talking about norms, that why should it be norm? Why should it be the norm? That when I was responding to the subject, this kind of subject, this kind of question, that I said in the US that it did happen, but we are seeing it in the most crude way in Nigeria. It's the norm in Nigeria, because anything you bring into Nigeria, once one person assimilates it, the other assimilates it. You want to ask, how many norms have people assimilated? They have assimilated so many things. If there's no water in my area, I should be able to call the Commissioner for Water Resources and say, why is there no water? What are you doing in a 12-month calendar? Why are you not making it possible for this area in my local government to have water? But everybody will go and get borehole. When you talk, they will say, go and get borehole now. Madam, what is the problem? If these hospitals don't have doctors, do you hear me? They don't have doctors. I should be able, people who voted political persons in should be able to walk into his office and say, where is the Commissioner for Health? Why are there no doctors in this? Why is it that is a CHU that is in my rural area when there should be 2 or 3 doctors in my local government? All I see is a nurse and a CHU. Why is that? What is the norm? Yeah. Nobody speaks. They'll say, if you don't, if you can't go to, if there's no doctor in the hospital, you are in North West, there's no doctor in the hospital, go to a rural specialist now. Stop making noise. A rural specialist has hospital. Do you understand me? It's the norm. And what we should be talking about is, how do we educate the electorate not to accept what people see as the norm? If you go to a classroom, there's no chair. The teachers are there. The teachers say you have only one teacher. I remember a couple of years ago, I was among the team that went to because the governor then was proactive about knowing what the issue was in the schools. Why, what is there and what is not there. You get to some school, a senior secondary school, there's only one teacher, and the teacher is a maths teacher. And you have science students there, you have art students there, and it's the norm. So
we have accepted this abnormality, abnormality as the norm.
Nobody demands from the Commissioner for Education, why are there no teachers in this place? There are science students who are going to WAEC. Who is going to teach them physics, chemistry, and biology? There are law students, there are students who are arts, who are going for law. Who is going to teach them literature and English when the only teacher there is the principal? So you have all those norms that, so people believe that if you are not working for my political party, I need to waste you away. If your ideas does not compromise, does not gel with my view, I need to take you out, because that's what we also see in women. When you find women who are very strong, the men who don't want the women who are very strong in power, they say no, I need to take this woman out. I need to either stigmatize her integrity. I need to spread false rumor, and he doesn't spread false rumors himself. He will pay another woman to spread false rumor about.
So women are their own problem.
No, women are not their own problem. Okay. It is the norm. That is it is not women that are their problem. It is the norm. I was talking to a friend of mine yesterday, and he said, oh, women have a lot of problem going for appointive positions, and it's not getting easy. The man says, go, if you want to go for House of Assembly, just come out. You will see women will come out and they will pull them to the side. Or even when they come out, you will see all sorts of rumors about them. And I was telling my friend, I said, you know, at this stage in my life, at this education that I have attained in my life, in fact, I'm looking for who to call me Ashewo. I'm looking for who to call me thief, so that I will retire on the benefit. I'll go to the bank and retire, because it's a lawsuit. It's a lawsuit affair. So you that they are sent, you that they are sending to come and abuse me, or to come and spread false rumors about me, be cognizant of the laws of the land.
So that you face the consequence. So that you face.
Right, in fact, I want to retire with that benefit.
Let me proceed.
Just come. When you see me come out with a placard, come out and start to tell me things that are not mine.
All right, let me bring the erudite Professor Anthony Jure here. Prof, the results are coming out now. I mean, we talked about all of these all through Saturday, through Sunday, and now today. About 5 states declared inconclusive. In Rivers State, there is a pause with a fact-finding mission. We hope that maybe by tomorrow or so, we'll get to know what the mission were able to unravel. What does this portend, particularly in some states where maybe one party is already leading, and then this inconclusive theory comes on board? Let's get your perspectives.
It's most unfortunate. In fact, I would like to start with Rivers State. What we should know is just like the America, that's father of democracy in the world. There are some states that are predominantly that subscribe predominantly to a particular political party. We should know that, you know. And when you know that, for God's sake, why don't you allow the natural thing to take its shape? That is the problem. E.g., Rivers is traditionally a PDP state. This is a PDP state. It's not. We are not sentimental about it. It's on record. It's a PDP state. So if that is the case, then why and the main opposition party there, APC, for God's sake, they are not contesting. They don't have a candidate. You know, because the court did not allow them to feature candidate because of this, mix up about having two factions and all that. So if that is the case, then why should one minister, you know, who knows that his party is not contesting, why should he not show up there and be using federal might to cause problem? In fact, we saw in net, we saw truckloads, not one truckload, truckloads of army going into the place. You know, that is why I get surprised, you know, from other quarters. They say somebody, the governor, there are people, fake soldiers. That's not the issue. The real issue is that Amechi was declared war, full-scale war. We saw the whole thing. You know, and what pains most Nigerians is that his party is not contesting. So which means they personalize the whole issue, which is wrong, which is very wrong. So all this, you see, we conducted the election 2015. Well, it's not perfect, but at least with all these killings. You know,
but this federal might was also brought to bear in that election. I remember the wife of the former president was also a mission.
But we didn't experience this massive. As our last count, it was 58 we are talking about. We're not in a war situation. 58 people have been killed so far.
There's no fault about that.
So are we enjoying the show? You know, and we expect that when a party eventually came to power and its major slogan was change. So one would have expected that change have to be really spread across board. Electoral change, voters' attitude change, you know, and there was opportunity, there was a window, okay, for the ruling party to effect that change in the Electoral Act. But what happened? He refused to assent. Buhari refused to assent first time, second time, third time, fourth time, and this thing was purposely done. And when it was not very close to election, and you see, if we should apply it now, it will take time to manifest, and there will be a problem. You see, that is the beginning of the problem, because the new Electoral Act was made, if you have read it, was meant to take care of these problems, and would have taken care of these problems. Because men of timber caliber, they came together and wrote this new Electoral Act. So if the government power was sincere, let us be sincere to ourselves, if the government power was sincere, and they believe in that change, in quote, they would have actually changed the voters' attitude, they would have actually changed this rigging, you know, that we're experiencing. It would have also changed this massive killing we're experiencing now. You know, because there are loopholes. That is what individuals, political parties are capitalizing on in the electoral. Because there are loopholes, it will not happen. So I think this idea of worshipping bad behavior, I think should stop. Because we are developing. Those countries we started with, okay, they've gone far more than us. South Africa, even China and other developing countries, they've gone far more than us. You know why? Because they respect what? The law. The law is made to check most of abnormal behavior in the country, including electoral law, business, and what have you. It's made. So by the time you start to abuse the law with impunity, we are aware that there are a lot of individuals that the court said they should be released, e.g. Dasuki and co. Did the government release them? The government refused, which means they don't have respect for the rule of law. So if you don't have respect for the rule of law, one minister of transport can just recruit, go to any A division, army, part of a battalion, can just recruit as much as he wants. Another former governor, who is now a chairman, can just go to DSS and recruit as many DSS people as possible and unleash it on opposition. So are we making progress? We are not making progress. You see, if you are a true Nigerian, it's enough to bother us. It's because tomorrow our relation may be a victim. Even ourselves, we may be a victim. You know, so I think the country should start looking at what got us into this mess.
Okay.
And what should we do
to correct it?
We should learn to respect our laws, existing law.
Okay.
You know, so
thank you very much, Professor Anthony Ijewere.